Hello again, folks. Welcome to the HireMyVA Team and Business Building Podcast, where we help you to reclaim your freedom through hiring and thriving with virtual assistants without breaking the bank, which is your bank, your most important one. And I'm Dave Braun, and I'm here with my partner, fantastic business mentor and coach, but more importantly, I'd say you're my great friend, Larry. Not my good friend. You're a great friend.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you, Dave. How are you, handsome Dave?
I'm doing fantastic today.
Good.
Like
Yeah.
normal. Yeah.
Like normal. Wow, that's
I
good.
was a little bit low on energy to start with, but now that I'm with you, I'm ready to go.
I'll have that effect on people because if they don't show up, man, I start kicking them in the rear. Dave, thank you for going through life with me. I appreciate you, my friend. Love you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Let's jump into today's topic.
Okay. Today's topic is, how do I evaluate a project management tool?
So that's a really good question. And for those who've been around or you're watching these sequentially, you know that we're kind of doing a series of episodes on project management tools right now. So some people are excited about this and other people are like, oh, please get back to the really dramatic stuff, about teams and all that kind of stuff. So it just depends. All right. But the first one that we did on project management tools was episode 79. And we're going to put a card up here at the top somewhere on this video. And we talked about why you should use project management tools, because really what we're trying to do is help you find freedom in your life. And these project management tools do create more time and more efficiency, which ought to be meaning more dollars to the bottom line, which ought to be more money into your bank, right? And so we gave several reasons on why you should be using project management tools. In episode 80, which was the last one we did, and we'll put another card up here somewhere that will just click on that. It'll take you right there. We talked about the project management tools that we have used or that we're currently using or that we actually recommend to different clients. And there were several that we went through on that. And then moving forward, just to give you an idea of what the snapshot of the future might be looking like, we're going to talk about in an upcoming episode, I think it's the next one, 82, we're going to discuss on how you actually pick a project management tool or several, because frankly, we use a couple of them right now, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to show you how you actually pick that. All right. So in this episode, we're going to talk about how you actually evaluate project management tools. We've talked about it before. I want to make sure that you know how to evaluate these tools on your own, because some of the tools that we have recommended already weren't around 5 years ago, and some of them may not be around 5 years from now. So I'd rather teach you how to fish so that in the future you can evaluate these on your own than just say, hey, go buy this one. Absolutely. You have to try these out, do the free trials to find out what works best for you, your personality, your strengths, and your team. That makes sense, Dave?
Absolutely.
All right. Absolutely. So why don't you kind of take over? This is really your area of expertise. You're the analytical engineering thinker, and I'm the one who fights these things every step of the way.
All right. Well, take off your boxing gloves, Larry.
I just want my to-do list. Get it done.
So let's talk about the first consideration, right? And now you'll probably call me Captain Obvious after this, but number one is come up with a list of features and their benefits that you want.
I don't think this is so darn obvious, Dave. I see this all the time. But here's the thing. What's the list of features and benefits that work for you?
Yeah.
You have to really be diligent about this, because we could go to any of these sites that are pushing project management tools and you list the features or benefits that they show, but they're like, I don't need this kind of stuff, right? So yes, it's a little bit obvious, but I think we have to hit ourselves over the head sometimes. Yeah. TFTR, Dave. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah. So that's a good one. That's like the most obvious one, but yeah. And it's going to take a little bit of work, and maybe you go and surf some of their sites and find out a few features and think, oh, that might be nice. But think about what Larry said, is that, are you really going to use it? Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that would be the first thing, right? That's shall I go into number two?
Let's go into number two.
Okay. So then number two is, after you have that list, now you're going to be iterating this probably over time as you do some evaluations, right? As you look at some tools and things like that. But you want to decide, what's most important to you, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as you're listing, those features or benefits, you want to really weight some of those criteria appropriately, right? And we have a tool that we have with our clients called the weighted average decision matrix. And it really helps you do that, assign more weight to one feature over another. Whenever and you want to do this whenever you're making any kind of a decision, maybe not just a tool decision, but it could be a decision about, like, should I move from California to Texas?
Yeah.
So it's a really, really nice tool. But, from a simple perspective, it just allows you to weight one feature or benefit of a decision, a little bit more important than another. And that's what you have to decide on, right? Yeah. What is that one feature or benefit that is so important to you? For example, it could be, I just need to make sure that I've got chat integrated. I don't want to use another tool for chat, right? So that might be, something that you would weight higher than maybe the ability to store documents.
Yeah, or internal video conferencing features that are built in. Some have it, some don't.
Yeah.
Now, what I'd like to do, Dave, is just pause for a second. If you have things that you think are important when you're evaluating tools, what are the features and benefits that you're looking for? Let us know. Put it in the chat, because we're just trying to help each other out. Whether if you're watching this as part of our community and HireMyVA program or the Victory program, talk about it in the community, if you will. If you're catching this on YouTube, put in the comments. By the way, give us a thumbs up. Put it in the comments on what it is that you're looking for, or if you disagree with us, would love to hear that as well. Give us a comment. Yeah.
Thanks for saying that, Larry.
Yeah.
Good.
Sure. Yeah.
So shall we go to the next one? Number
Let's
3. Well, related to what we talked about, deciding on what's most important to you and weighting the criteria appropriately, you really also have to go and say, what are the must-have features, right? So we talked about maybe chat before. Well, is that really a must-have, or you could use something more free or Slack or something for that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Another one might be is if you're moving from one project management tool from one to another, well, it's probably pretty critical that they have some type of an import feature for you, or you're going to have to figure that out, because you don't want to have to manually import all the stuff you did from your previous tool to your new tool, right? Yeah. So that's probably going to be pretty critical. And in fact, when you're actually picking a couple to do, that might be one of the first things that you evaluate. And we'll talk a little bit about that at the end here.
Okay.
So, make sense?
Makes sense. Love it. Let's keep going.
Okay. Well, number 4, think about your ability and your team's ability to adapt. So for example, we used Basecamp for many years, and we switched to Nifty, and we had to adjust how we did things. And it took a little bit of time to get used to. There was times when I'm like, oh, why did we switch? Yeah. But I had to remember some of those reasons why we switched and said, okay, calm down, Dave. It's worth it's worth fighting through it and figuring it out. Yeah. Sure enough, we figured it out and got on chat with their help, and maybe suggested a few additional features and that kind of a thing. All right.
And this is why it's important to do the trial features on any of these, and so you can see how effective is this for us. And it's a great time to be testing their support, right?
Right.
For the product.
Yeah.
Get on chat with them to find out, hey, do you actually support this, or why am I the only one that's frustrated by this feature?
Yeah. And so, when we talk about your ability to adapt, some people can and some people can't. Some people are like, I'm using this as a tool to my business. I know it's got its own flaws, the current tool, but I'm just going to live with it. And that's okay. That's a good reason. There's nothing wrong with that. It's your business and your project management tool that you're evaluating. Now, that's assuming you have control to make that decision. Now, if you're making it for other folks and you don't have final say so, well, then you've got a little bit more work to do on that.
Yeah. Well, Dave, that brings up a point that, let me jump in here for a second. And I guess this might be point number 5. I know that whenever I have a team member going out and shopping something for me, one of the questions like, hey, we want to try this, we want to try this new tool. I say, okay, tell me about the background of the company. How long have they been around, and do they have the staying power? Are they going to be around 5 years from now? I can think back years ago where we invested in this new property management systems were just coming out in the world, and we invested in this property management system, and they went under 2 years later. They did not have the financial wherewithal to make it to survive, and that was just an absolute pain in the rear. So I'd really recommend What's the history of the organization? How often are they coming out with updates? Do they take feedback from their clients regularly? And what's the likelihood that they're going to be stable enough to survive into the future?
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that one about, are they taking feedback? And in other words, do they have a roadmap
Right.
for their improvements?
Exactly. Yeah.
And one of the things too is that if they have a roadmap for what they want to do, and for a project management tool, they really should use their own project management tool to communicate the roadmap to you, right? Does that kind of make sense?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So that's a little sidebar there.
That's good.
Well, I think the last one, Larry, I think that we came up with was more, for you to decide on your main application scenarios. In other words, think about how you're going to use this on a daily basis for keeping track of tasks, for communicating within your team to clients, et cetera. Right. Like thinking about, are you going to be tracking time on client projects? Right. And how are you going to do that? Is it going to save you heartache and tracking if it's built into the tool? Or, because you can always find different tools to do different things, right? But will it save you time? Is it more convenient to have it all there? And that was one of the reasons why we chose what we did with Nifty, was it has an integrated time tracking tool, and it does save us time. It does help us, because we were frustrated having to track time outside. It was like an extra step that became outside of our conscious.
So Dave, why would someone need a time tracking tool? For those
well,
that
if
don't
you
know?
are doing retainers with clients and they're paying you by hour, you'll want to actually have a task that you track time on, that you start and stop a timer, so that you can at some point do a good report back to your client that says, hey, I spent 30 minutes on this particular task.
Great. That's good.
Yeah. So that's important. I mean, another one is, some of the other scenarios is, we talked about thinking about how you're going to communicate with your team. Do you need to communicate within the project itself? Do you want that separate versus doing private chats or group chats? Do you want to make your comments and communicate on the tasks or to-dos themselves? So there's different application scenarios that you want to be able to think through and think about how you're going to use the tool, and start using that in preparation for when you're going to actually pick your tool. And that's what this whole podcast is about, is preparing yourself to actually pick the tool that you want to evaluate.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm going to encourage folks, if you've got comments on project management tools, how do you evaluate? How do you personally pick project management tools? Sorry, I'm stringing my words together here today, slurring. Give us a comment. Let us know what your thoughts are. We're all trying to learn from each other on this. We are not experts on this, but we've got a lot of experience, because these are tools that we use day to day, and that many of our clients are using. So we do hear a lot of feedback on these, but we'd love your feedback as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'd love for you to do that. Give us some feedback. Well, thank you, folks. Larry, I think we're about ready to wrap this one up, right?
Let's wrap it up. Put a bow on it.
All right. Thanks again, folks, for joining us today. Remember, building a team is the way to reclaim your freedom, and we're here to help you. 3 things we'd love for you to do, and we'd really appreciate it. Number 1, subscribe to the podcast and YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. Yep. And number 2, Larry talked about that, is giving us some comments below the video. Give us a rating on the podcast, hopefully 5-star. But we want you guys to do that so we can get the word out to other folks. And then number 3 is go to HireMyVA.com for more information on our course and community and our upcoming white glove service.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Hey, my friends, it's entrepreneurs, it's leaders, it's high achievers who are going to be really shaping the future of this country.
Yeah.
Right. It's not the government. The government is not going to save your bacon. But in order for that to happen, we need to actually do something significant. So do yourself a favor, do the world a favor, go do something significant today. All right. God bless you. God keep you. God hold you. All right, my friends, go get them. We'll see you later. Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.